So number one, when teaching anyone anything, you should know where you're starting by finding out what do they already know. So super important if you're going to teach anybody anything. And have you ever had the experience where you say to somebody, hey, can you help me with this? And they start explaining it from the beginning, but you're already on step 4 and it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. So you got to know where they already are. We'll talk about how you find that out in a second. Number 2, you have to know what the end goal is before you start teaching. If you walk into a classroom and just say, I'm going to teach you guys about this, and you don't have an expectation of, so when we're done, you should be able to know this, you might get there, but likely you won't. So you got to know what the end goal is and what it looks like before you start teaching anything. You have to ask yourself, what will make the learning fair? We talk about this all the time. This was a piece that I didn't have when I was a teacher. It was somewhere amorphous in my head, but Dr. 𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗃 really has made this so clear to me that this is a key piece to teaching anyone anything. You have to ask what will make the learning fair, and you can't decide it all on your own. I will tell you later how we do this with anyone, whether communication is a deficit or not. We'll figure out how you can figure this out. Okay, number 4, we have to give clear instructions. It's not fair if we're teaching somebody and we don't give clear instructions. It seems like a duh, but I'm going to get into granular how this works and how this doesn't work. Reward all attempts with the reward that the individual has chosen. This is how this becomes individualized. Is that we're going to give rewards for attempts, but we're going to reward them with what they chose to be rewarded with. Number 6, we're going to give lots of opportunity to try. This is critical. We know this from all of the science, that if I say to you, if I'm going to teach anything, I have to give you lots of opportunities to try. And for people who are on the autism spectrum, I have to give even more opportunities than that. Why do we rehearse a play? Because you're given lots of opportunities to try and get a little bit better as you go along. So we're going to talk about that. Number 7, we need to give immediate feedback. If somebody does something and we don't immediately say, yes, that was it, or here, let's try this instead, it gets watered down in the teaching. So we're going to give immediate feedback. We're going to be like, yes, that's fabulous, or here, try this, right? Shouldn't be negative, but it's immediate feedback right in the moment. Okay, we're going to move the goalposts. This is something we talked about last week, and we're going to talk more about it, about how, if we're going to start to teach something and we're going to reward the attempt, right, in the beginning. If I am trying to get you to say bubble, in the beginning, I'm going to be excited when you say buh, because that's on the road to it, right? That's that attempt, and I'm going to reward that. But eventually, I'm going to move the goalpost, and I'm going to go buh, buh, right? I move the goalpost. And then eventually, I'm going to say buh, bull, right? And then I'm going to try to say bubble all in one thing, right? I'm moving the goalposts. But I'm rewarding the attempts and then saying, okay, you got that one. Now I'm just going to move it a little bit over. Works, it works. Then number 9 is we're going to practice it in different circumstances. This is such a no-brainer, and yet we don't think of it. Because I always worked with actors before, and it was maddening to me that actors would go home, they would learn the bathtub, they'd get in the bathtub and they would learn their lines in the bathtub. And they could do the lines in the bathtub perfectly. They would show up rehearsal and they'd go, I don't know, I had it in the bathtub, but I don't have it here. And I would always say, well, this is not the environment of the bathtub. You got people in your face who are saying things and you're not all relaxed. This is why we rehearse, right? Because we have to do it in different circumstances. And I would send them home and say, okay, learn your lines in the bathtub, but then go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich while you're doing it. So when they would say to me, when we were practicing with my son, they would say, okay, he has this skill here, but now we need to make this happen in the real world. I understood it because I already had been through this with acting students. Okay. And then number 10, we're going to keep rewarding with the reward of their choice. A lot of times people go, oh, I asked them what they wanted to work for, and now we're 6 months later, and I'm still giving the same reward. I don't understand why it's not happening. Well, we need to keep rewarding, but we need to reward with the reward of their choice, which means you got to keep asking. So those are our top 10 tips. We're going to reset that, and we're going to go back to the beginning, and we're going to tear this sucker apart.